Where am I supposed to stay? I asked. Melanie pulled out $200 and tossed it on the table carelessly, as if she were giving money to a beggar. Here, take this. Find a motel or rent a place. It's up to you. I forced a bitter smile. What about James? Does he feel the same way? Just then, my brother, James Kessler, emerged from the bathroom. Without hesitation, he said, Nina, you're my sister. Of course I'm on your side. If you want to stay here, I'll clear the room for you. It seemed James still cared about me. I nodded with relief. All right, I'll stay for a while. But as soon as I said that, James's expression froze. He stood there, looking at me, but made no move to clean the room. I stared back, puzzled. At this time, Greta walked up to me, her voice sharp. Janina, have you lost your mind in prison? How can you be so inconsiderate? Can't you see how cramped the house is? Even if we clear out the room, it should be for the baby. You're an adult now. How can you shamelessly insist on staying here? Have some sense. I felt sorrowful and replied hoarsely, Greta, this is my home. Isn't it normal for me to stay for a few days? Your home. This house is under James's name now. He's married, and you're 30 years old. How can you still want to live with your brother? Her disdain was no longer hidden, her eyes filled with contempt. I looked at James. He pressed his lips together, looking everywhere but at me. I turned to my mother, but she just stared back, her expression dark, offering no support. My father puffed away on his cigarette, acting as if none of this concerned him. There I stood, awkward and helpless, realizing their rush to property transfer wasn't just to avoid a potential dispute. They wanted to use it as an excuse to kick me out. My heart ached with 1,000 tiny stings. Looking at my family, I asked incredulously, did I do something wrong? Why have you all changed so suddenly? For the first time, I felt like an outsider in my own home. Before I went to prison, everyone treated me well. Why had everything changed the moment I was released? Without hesitation, Greta responded, Janina, before, you could make money and support the family, so we all got along, but now you're just an ex-con. Finding a decent job or a husband will be nearly impossible. In your situation, what can you do but leech off us? Why should we still treat you well? My heart sank, and I asked painfully, so, because I'm no longer useful and might be a burden, you don't care about me anymore? Nina, it's not our fault. Melanie looked at me and finally said, another mouth to feed isn't something we can afford. You're better off finding a place to rent and taking care of yourself instead of being a burden to us. I'm a burden? I looked at Melanie with a pained expression. Mom, you were the ones who begged me in tears to take the fall for James. You said if I did, I'd be the savior of this family, and you'd repay me no matter what. Now, I just got out and haven't even had a sip of water at home, and suddenly, I'm a burden? I've given so much for this family. I handed over all my wages, contributed to buying this house, and even served 2 years in prison for James. Doesn't that entitle me to a room in my own home? My voice was hoarse, and I felt utterly wronged. James said, Nina, I know you're upset, but do you think it was easy for us these past 2 years? Having a convict in the family brought shame on all of us. People point and whisper wherever we go. Who knows what people will say about us if you stay here? Can't you think about us for once?